Oh, hello, hello. Welcome to Sunday morning. We're doing a little 20-minute, but don't hold me to that. It could be 25, might be 30 session. We're going to start lying on our side. I've got very squeaky feet this morning. Can you hear my feet squeaking? Squeaky feet. So, yeah, we're going to start lying on our side. So if you're joining me, hi. Nice to see you. It is recorded and will be on the page for later if you're stuck in your bed under a duvet. Kill. Luxury. Okay, so I said we're going to start lying on our side, but let's start lying on our back and then we'll roll over onto our side. Now, lying on your back. What is your spine like? So if your neck feels a bit tight around the back here, you might find that when you lie on your back, that your chin tends to lift a little bit, the back of the neck gets a bit shorter. So if that happens, you might need a rolled up blanket or a towel or a couple of books underneath your head, just to help the head lift off the floor a little bit so the chin can stay down towards your chest. So the back of the neck stays long. 7 bones in the back of your neck can stay lengthened. So just rest for a moment. Just bring your attention to how you're feeling on the mat. So just notice your spine. Can you be aware of where your spine is touching the floor and where it isn't? Can you notice the gaps? Can you notice the little gaps behind the neck? You should be able to get your fingers through that little gap there. And in your lumbar spine area, lower back, can you get one hand, maybe you can put both hands underneath your lower back. The fingers should be able to touch. But just above the lower back, the rib cage is heavy, staying on the floor, soft at the front, chest bone soft. And noticing the back of your pelvis. Resting, noticing. Can you be aware of your feet? Touching the mat. Can you wiggle your toes without your feet changing position? So you've got awareness in the heel, the ball of the big toe, the ball of your little toe. And noticing the breath for a moment. Nice. It's nice to start the session calming down the nervous system and just bringing the awareness to your body, how it feels today. Okay, so now you can roll yourself over onto your side, taking your hands with you. And if you need your blanket or your towel, you can use that. There's many ways you can lie with your head. You can have your arm resting here underneath your head, but if that hurts your arm being like that, being bent like that, you can have it out straight. You can always put your blanket underneath your head like that. It's quite nice. Well, your arm can be out wider in front of you, longer, and your head resting on your blanket. Ideally, you don't really want your head to look like that, like it's been chopped off, because you're going to have a lengthened neck here and a tight neck here. This is going to get short and tight and be ouchy, and this is going to get lengthened and stretched and feel weaker. So what I'm going to do, I've always got a blanket going on somewhere, is put that underneath my head. There. Lovely. So the neck, don't forget, is part of your spine. So it's rested here. So we're just going to focus on the top part of your hips. So your knees are bent, but not too far up. If they're too far up, you want to tuck under. We want the tailbone to be behind us. So you have your knees down a little bit further away from this 90-degree angle. And just let your hip bone, if you're not quite sure where your hip bone is, you can find it with your finger. So it runs in a line from the middle of your thigh. You can just find it from there. It's not out there, it's in the front. Can you just find that? And then come around to the side, and you'll notice the top of your pelvis and where your ribs are and where your armpit is. And let the top of your pelvis go up to your armpit and then move away. So it's like it's being pulled up, it's being shortened, and then it's being lengthened. Like you're pulling it up with a piece of string, and then it's being pulled away in the opposite direction. And you'll notice as you shorten this side, the other side drops into the mat, drops into the floor. So when one shortens, the other lengthens. So like a little pulley system going on. Lovely. Just noticing how your pelvis moves. And sometimes when we go on the other side, you'll notice the difference, because sometimes we have one hip higher than the other, and we just don't be aware of it. If we're aware of it, we're just not aware of what's going on in our hips. Sometimes we can completely dissociated from what's going on in our body. It just becomes a habit over the years, and it just becomes normal. So when you start to move like this, you start to become aware of, oh, maybe this hip is higher, maybe that's why my back does hurt, and maybe that's why my hip gets so tired. Maybe that's why my shoulders feel tight. So you'll notice as you flatten, as you shorten the side, this side drops to the floor, and as you lengthen it away, as you press the hip away, you can use your hands to feel that if you want to. It creates space here. You can put your hand underneath there. Shortens, lengthens, shortens, lengthens. Now check your jaw is soft and your shoulder is soft. So you're going to find a lengthened position, but not to the point where you're feeling you're forcing it, you're pushing it away. It feels like it just should fit there. It just sits there. It just sits nicely. And we're going to keep the knees together and lift and lower the top foot, as if the side of the ankle is pushing the ceiling away. So nothing changes here. You're not sinking down into this shortened position again. And then the feet stay together and the top knee lifts and lowers. So the pelvis doesn't roll back. There is a move where we can do that, but not today. We're not doing that today. We're just focusing on the pelvis staying steady and the spine staying long. And we're going to lengthen the top leg away. So with this feeling of this length here, so you've got this little gap underneath the waist, can you lift and lower that leg? As if you're pushing the ceiling away with the side of your leg. And then can you bring the leg forward? But before you do that, can you flex your foot? So push through your heel, relax your toes, bring the leg forward, point your toes, and then take the leg back behind you. So push through the heel to come forward and point your toes to take the leg back. So you're swinging the leg from your pelvis. Working on the side line, the lateral line here, side, lateral. It goes all the way up from the ankle to your hip, to your armpit, to your neck, which is why you don't want your head to be in a different position, because it will just take the work away from what you're trying to do with your leg. And then you come back and draw 3 circles. Rest when you need to. If it's starting to ache a little bit, if you're starting to clench your jaw, relax your jaw. And then bring the leg down. Oh, lovely. Okay, so you're going to take the leg out again, but the other leg's going to come and meet it. Now, if you have your legs too far back, you'll feel like you're going to fall, and you'll be arching your back maybe to try and keep your balance. So if you bring them forward a little bit, and you should be able to see your toes when you do that. Your top leg lifts, your bottom leg comes up to meet it. Bottom leg comes down, top leg comes down. So your hand can be in the front to make sure you don't fall forward, but make sure you're not pushing into your hand, and your shoulder isn't up by your ear. Your hand can also be down here, if you don't need it, in front for your support, or it can be up here towards the ceiling, as if you're trying to reach for the ceiling. Keeping the spine long. La, la, la. Lovely jubbly. And then bring the legs down, and let this arm come down by your side. So I'm going to let this arm stretch out, and I'm going to lift the upper body and then come back down. I'm going to take that away for a moment because it might just get in my way. So my hand's going to slide down. So it's tracing a line down the side of my trousers towards my ankle. And then I'm going to come back down. And as I do that, my rib cage will need to come down towards my pelvis as if it's kissing my pelvis. And now you'll notice that the armpit starts to come away from the floor. So the side of your face and your ear is staying towards the ceiling. Because if you start to turn your head, you'll be using your neck. So think about side of the head towards the ceiling, so it stays long, stays lengthened, chin stays down, back of the neck is long as you lift and lower. And if you're feeling super brave, you can add both legs at the same time. Ooh, if that feels too much for you today, just stay with the upper body. There's quite a lot of work going on. And then rest. Come and lie back on your spine, on your back. Oh, lovely. And come back to a gentle flattening and arching of your lower back. Use your feet to push the floor away as your back flattens, and you notice the pelvis just responds as you push your feet into the floor. Lovely. And then come back to what feels like halfway between those two, between a flat back and an arch back, a neutral pelvis, so the belly button is level and flat, and you're going to pick up one foot. So just notice the shoulder blades staying equal and the ribs feeling relaxed and soft, chest bone soft. And start to draw a circle with your knee, as if you've got a circle on the ceiling or a cross, or it was Halloween last night, so maybe you've got a cross on your ceiling, or a compass, or a clock face. You're going around the clock face with your knee, touching all 4 points. So then you go back the other way. Now, if you find that the pelvis is wobbling a little bit, you might want to take the other leg out further to help stabilize you. It can come down and stretch out. You don't have to have the knee bent. And then this foot comes back down. Let it go. Bend the other knee, pick it up, and around you go. Around the clock face, around the compass. This knee can be bent if it feels better to stabilize your pelvis like that. So try not to roll over onto your side. So when the knee comes away from you, you're still trying to maintain the rib cage staying soft. So there's no effort here in trying to stabilize yourself. And then go around the other way. Shoulder blades heavy. Pelvis is equal right and left, as if they're a set of scales. And then the foot comes back down. And then you're going to roll over onto the other side. So I'm going to change. Otherwise, we'll be looking at my backside for the next 10 minutes, and that won't be very exciting. It's not that kind of channel. I'm sure there's stuff like that on YouTube. Okay, so where did we start? We started here with noticing, we were talking about the hip and how that feels. If it goes up here and comes down, if it hikes up and then releases, how does that feel when you are doing your work? What side for you feels that it's moving more than the other side, or moving less? Shortening, lengthening, noticing the opposite side drops into the mat. So notice my left side moves more than my right side. Shortening and lengthening. And noticing your jaw relaxing, your head relaxing, your shoulder, so you're not creating any effort or tension around the upper body in order for the lower body to do its thing. So find that halfway. So you created this length here. It's not forcing it. You don't feel like you have to really push it away from you. You've got a little bit of a gap there. And you're going to lift and lower the top foot. The knee stays together. And then the foot stays down and you lift and lower the top knee. So the side of the face towards the ceiling, the ear towards the ceiling. And then stretch the top leg out. I'm going to lift and lower the top leg. This out of the picture. I need to come down here. There you go. So again, keeping this length here. So you're not hiking the hip up. So you're not trying to tighten up here for stability. It's got its own stability going on. Stabilizing the spine, stabilizing your ribs. You don't really want to hike the pelvis up. And then you're going to kick forward. But before you do that, flatten the foot as if you're pushing the wall away. So you come forward and then you point your toes and take the leg back. So let your big toe relax. So your big toe isn't overtaking the movement, isn't the one that's running the show here. So have your big toe thinking it's the little toe. Have them working the same. So your big toe doesn't become the boss. And then we come back and draw, let's do 3 circles and then reverse it. And then we're going to bring that leg down, stretch the other leg out. So think about the legs not being too far behind you because you'll arch your back. So you should be able to see your toes if you bring them forward, bring both legs forward. Lift one leg, let the other leg come up to meet it. Let the bottom leg come down, let the top leg come down. So if you need your hand in front for support, use it, but not to the point where you're using your shoulder. So your shoulder isn't up by your ear. So have an awareness of what's happening up here. Are you soft in your jaw? Are you soft in your shoulder? Is your breath still flowing? So not holding your breath. Your ribs are soft. Hand can be here if you don't need it, or up here towards the ceiling, because we're going to hold up here. Can you lift and lower both legs? Wee, 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 and then come back down. So this hand's going to rest. So I'm going to take my bottom arm out long. I'm going to take that away. I'm going to slide this hand down the seam of my trousers and then come back down to the floor. So as I do that, the side of my face is lifting up towards the ceiling. I haven't turned my head. I might have turned it to look at the screen, to look at you guys, and see what's going on. And think about, you've got a light coming out of your ear. If you've got a little light coming out of your ear and it's shining towards the ceiling. Rib cage goes down towards your pelvis. And if you're feeling brave, you can add the legs as well. So you end up in a little banana shape. But if that starts to feel that your shoulder's going up towards your ear, then keep the legs down and just work on the upper body. Crown of the head reaching away. And then rest. Come over onto your back. Wee, yep. Lovely jubbly. Okay, so I'm down there a little bit. Have your palms facing the ceiling. So your hands, back of your hands are resting on the floor, palms facing the ceiling. Can you notice the back of your arms resting down as well? So they're touching the floor. The shoulder blades are heavy. The collarbone is wide. Can you notice your ribs feeling soft in your chest? Can you allow your lower back just to drop down into the floor? And as you start to lift your tailbone, lift your sacrum, lift your lower back, lifting the lower ribs, and then come back down. And then you're ready to go again. Can you notice your feet pushing the floor away to help the lower back drop into the floor, to help the ribs lift, to keep the chin down towards your chest. So you're looking towards the ceiling or towards your knees. So the back of your neck stays long. So imagine you've got, in the 7 bones of your neck, imagine you've got a little headlight on each bone and it's shining. They're all shining down towards the floor equally. Yeah. And your hips are level. Your feet are equal. Your toes can wiggle. Let the knees and the shins feel like they're pressing away from you, pressing the wall in front of you, lengthening here in the top of the legs as you do that. So we're creating space at the top of the femurs when you lift and press the knees and the shins away from you. So we can get these glutes really working now, because we're trying to make sure that the quads don't take over. Yep, last one. Keeping the palms facing the ceiling, so the arms might roll back a little bit. And then coming back down to the floor, being aware how that feels in your spine. Lovely. And then take the feet out wider, so they're wider than the mat. Let one knee drop in and come back, and then change sides. And you get this rolling on the back of your pelvis from one side to the other. And then bring the feet back into the middle. Hug your right knee in with your right hand. Hold behind your knee. Put the left hand behind the head. And as you lift and twist towards your knee, breathe out. So you're going towards the opposite side and breathe in as you come back. So my left rib cage is going towards my right hip. But notice the left shoulder blade comes off the floor. Your pelvis is staying the same. You're not lifting the right side of your pelvis. But being aware that the ribs soften and drop down into the mat. So as you lift, the back of the ribs soften and drop down into the floor to help you lift and come over. And then release that leg, change sides, so right hand behind the head, hold the left knee in behind the knee, exhale as you go across, inhale as you come back. So the rib cage drops into the floor, the chest bone softens, your sternum, the pelvis stays equal right and left. So it's not just coming up, but it's coming back down as well. Notice how your shoulder blade helps bring you back down. And notice these ribs dropping, softening down into the mat. And then come back down, let that foot go. Take the arms out wide, bring the feet and the knees together, drop the knees to one side, come back and change sides. And come back and change sides. And come back and change sides. So let your head go in the opposite direction now. Opposite side. Looking to the opposite hand. Lovely. And then come back to the middle. Take your feet out so they can feel the edges of your mat and let the knees fall in towards each other. So they just collapse in there. And they're resting like a couple of pieces of toast resting on each other or a couple of playing cards resting to create an arc. And let them just rest there. If it feels quite tricky to be here, then your feet can come in a little bit closer. If that feels better, so your legs can rest. And then let your hands find your ribs. Where do your ribs meet your sternum? So bottom of the sternum, finding the ribs, and breathe into your fingers right there. Oh, yes. Breathe into your fingers. And as you breathe into the fingers, notice on the opposite side, on the back of the body. So think about breathing into the opposite side, where your fingers are, but breathe into the back of your body. So if you were going to lie on your side and find, if you had a piece of string coming from the top of your fingers, dropping down, like a plumb line, dropping down from your fingers, down through the body to the back, it would land. Right about where so thinking about where the ribs meet your lumbar spine. The lower rib, where it meets the top of your lumbar spine. So T12, thoracic 12th rib, where it meets L1, lumbar 1. And like something out the Thunderbirds. So breathe into that part of your body. So the opposite of where your fingers are. Breathe into where your last ribs meet the top of your lower back. Nice. Just noticing that part of your body, nourishing that part of the body. Feel like you're massaging that part of the body with your breath, or bringing strength to that area and space to that part of the body, because it tends to get a bit congested around there and gets a bit tight. And then can you place your hands on your ribs, around the side of the ribs, at the front of the body here. Notice where the ribs curve. And can you breathe into your hands? And you allow your ribs to expand. So you start to massage the organs, the liver on the right side, the gut, the belly on the left. So you have two floating ribs here that don't attach to the sternum, two ribs that attach to the back but don't come around and attach to the sternum. So you have space here for the breath to expand here, to open up the belly, open up the width here, the side of the body, opening up right in the ribs, open up like an umbrella. Think about a huge umbrella, but not just at the front of the umbrella, opening the sides and the back of the umbrella. Opening up using all of that material, all of the spokes. And then let yourself roll over onto your side, supporting your head again. And let your mind for a moment pay attention to your heartbeat. Can you notice your heartbeat for a moment? Be aware of what's going on inside your body. Softness in your jaw, around your eyes, softness in your throat. And thank you for joining me today. So you can stay there and rest there. Or if you feel ready, you've got to get up and do stuff. When you feel ready, sort your hair out. Up you come. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that was so you could hear what I was talking about. You could see me. And it's okay on YouTube. This is my second live on YouTube. Scary monsters. Okay, I'm going to click the end stream button and see you soon. Happy practicing. Love you loads. Bye.